what got in Conor's head, he kept on saying, I'm going to take his head off, I'm going to take his head off. If he'd have said, like, you know what, yeah, I'm going to box him, he didn't. He went in there thinking, I'm going to take his head off. And that reminded me the same when he fought the French guy, Paynard, just want to go in and take his head off. Winging the punches in, I thought, oh my gosh, he's not going to win this. But I didn't come away like, you know, upset. I just cuddled my son, didn't say a word. And the funny thing about it, the next day we went in the sauna because Conor's been giving me grief. He said, mate, if you took care of business, I wouldn't have to do this. So then we got in the shower, I've got to tell you this joke. We got in the shower and I left the door open. And he started
sauna, Dad.
The sauna. He said, mate, why are you leaving the door open for? And he was really moaning at me. I said, shut up, you loser. But we both burst out laughing because at the end of the day, we know that this...
It was a little bit too soon, Dad. It was like day after the fire.
Yeah, I know, but you give it to me, though, didn't you? You said if I'd done the job, you wouldn't have to do it. And you lost. Now you got to go and put the record straight, mate.
Thanks for the reminder.
Yeah, don't worry, mate. I'm going to keep reminding you that.
Past because of what happened, but I'm just letting you know, if your hand ever touches me again, you won't get it back.
Shut your fucking mouth, Jim.
You feel so strongly about something and it is your life. You're not going to have some fucker just make up bullshit, particularly when you're talking about stopping an ambulance. You know, that is an accusation that could cost someone their life. And if you think that we are the kind of people, and I'm, you know, the kind of individual, we are the kind of company that would stop an ambulance from getting a fighter to the hospital, then you are some kind of plum. And it's not just a case of, oh, don't worry about it, you know, it's only a press.
Chris Eubank Jr. brutally responds to Nigel Benn on Live, ripping into the so-called People's Champ narrative. He calls out Eddie Hearn's smoke and mirrors, painting Benn as nothing more than a pretender. That's not just talk, it's Eubank exposing the Benn camp with ruthless confidence.
But, you know, I'm going to tell you right here and now, you ain't no champ. And you most definitely ain't no people's champ, so get that out of your head. You keep letting Eddie Hearn blow smoke up your ass and you're gonna end up being even more of an embarrassment than he is. These men are not men of the people. They are pretending. They're pretending to be the good guys. Wolves in sheep's clothing, if you will. They will do anything they can.
Now Eubank takes it further, directly confronting Nigel Benn's excuses. Eubank Jr. tears Nigel Benn's narrative to pieces, shutting down the victim talk with pure authority. He reminds everyone that he's the victor, the man who already proved it in the ring. This isn't excuse making, this is raw truth, delivered with confidence only Eubank carries.
They know what he is. I have no reason to lie. I won the fight. I don't need to be here. I don't need to make excuses. He talks about playing the victim. What? I won the fight. I'm not the victim. I'm the victor. I was victorious. So I have no reason to lie about anything. I'm telling my truth. I'm exposing what these people want to keep hidden in the dark, and I will continue to do so.
Conor Benn throws his words out here, but it reeks of insecurity. He talks about respect, yet it sounds like excuses. Claiming Eubank is scared, that's laughable. Benn is clinging to narratives, while Eubank already showed who's levels above when the two met.
I wouldn't say there's been a lot of respect anyway. Personally, I don't like him. You know, he thought I was going to be an easy touch, which is why he fought welterweight. So is there much respect there? Not really, but you know, ultimately, you know, I'm ready to honour my side of the agreement, which was the 2-fight deal, and it's safe to say he's scared. You know, he almost lost. Could have gone either way to a welterweight.
Eddie Hearn then jumped in, desperate to defend Benn's corner. Eddie Hearn tries to mask Benn's flaws by painting Eubank as disrespectful, but it's the same tired defense we've heard before. Talk of things being different this time doesn't hold weight. Eubank's composure already broke Benn once, and he'll do it again when the pressure hits.
This guy has zero respect for anything. And I hope people can see through it. Some will, some won't. But if you can't see them, I mean, that's a lot of what happened up there was just wrong. So listen, we go to work and we're in to win the fight. It's going to be different this time.
Tony Bellew absolutely nails it here, pointing out that a rematch isn't about stamina or fitness, but about mentality, experience, and composure. And let's be real, that's exactly where Chris Eubank Jr. has Conor Benn beaten already. Eubank has been under the lights, gone through wars, and built his career on surviving the big moments. Benn, he's still green in comparison. Bellew is effectively saying that Benn can run as much as he wants, but nothing prepares you for the mental grind of 12 rounds against a fighter like Eubank. The first fight showed Benn's limits, the cracks under pressure. Eubank, he's calm, calculated, and thrives when the fire's hottest. That's why Bellew's words sting. They expose the truth that Benn can't escape. This isn't about cardio, it's about ring IQ, and Eubank is simply levels above.
These shoes though, you know you've had 2 warnings.
Yeah.
You need to be careful, don't you?
You do.
Treading a fine line.
You do, but it's not the head then that comes in. So he's on one final warning for the head, but getting into an exchange in the final punch of the round, he's trying to win the round.
Yeah,
I
impress
agree.
the judges at the end of the round.
You know,
Johnny Nelson then gave his assessment, leaning heavily towards Benn. Johnny Nelson gives his take here, but let's be honest, calling Eubank Jr. stiff or stationary feels like clutching at straws. Sure, Conor Benn might show improvement, but let's not forget, Eubank boxed smart, dictated the pace, and never looked close to breaking. Nelson's idea that the result will flip is wishful thinking at best. Boxing isn't about looking pretty with footwork, it's about control, composure, and making the other man fight your fight. That's exactly what Eubank did. Conor going the distance doesn't change the fact that he was outclassed. Nelson can talk up Benn's improvements all he wants, but those improvements will crumble under real pressure. When Eubank switches gears, Benn has no answer, and deep down, fans know it. Nelson's analysis makes headlines, but it doesn't shake the truth. Eubank remains the superior fighter.
I do see improvement there for Conor, and I do think the results will be different the other way around in the next fight. I think it'll go the distance all over again.
Eddie Hearn tries here to sound tactical, urging Benn to be smarter, but that's easier said than done when the man in front of you is Chris Eubank Jr. Telling Benn not to just wing away is basically admitting that his style is reckless and lacks discipline. Eubank thrives on that. He reads wild fighters, times them, and punishes their mistakes. Benn's heart and aggression are undeniable, but that's not enough against someone who knows how to dismantle reckless pressure. Eddie talks about being smarter, but how many times have we seen Benn revert to chaos the moment he's under fire? Against Eubank, that's a death sentence. Hearn can give all the advice in the world, but when the bell rings, Benn's instincts betray him. And that's why Eubank, calm and calculated, has every edge heading into a rematch.
You know, Conor Benn's Conor Benn. But I want him just to be a little bit smarter. We can't, like Nigel said, he's just winging away. And the heart's great, the balls are great, but you can outbox this guy as well. You're going to have to stand and fight because he's going to try and walk you down and be the bigger man. But just be a little bit smart with it as well.
Carl Froch then weighed in on what this fight really means. Carl Froch keeps it brutally honest here. This fight isn't about the sport, it's about the fighters. And he's spot on. For Conor Benn, it's desperation, a need to erase the loss and salvage his name. For Chris Eubank Jr., it's legacy. Beating Benn twice would silence all the noise and cement his superiority. Froch's point about money is fair. Prize fighting has always been about big purses, but there's more at stake for Eubank. Pride, control of the rivalry, and proving once and for all that Benn's name can't carry him through real battles. Froch knows what it means to settle scores, and his words underline how big this is for both men. But if anyone's walking in with the advantage, it's Eubank Jr. because he's already been there, done it, and walked away victorious.
For me, it's a fight that probably means a lot less for boxing than what it does for the actual fighters. You know, the fighters, for them, there's a lot at stake. Conor Benn wants to overturn the decision. And Chris Eubank wants to cement the decision, say, I've done it twice. Bottom line is they're making big bunts, aren't they? Big dollar, and they might as well make money. These are prize fighters. We can't begrudge them making money fighting because that's what they do. That's why they get in the ring.
Duke McKenzie touches on something powerful here, the generational pull of this fight. 3 eras, from the legends of the past to the young fans of today, all tuning in to watch Eubank Jr. and Benn settle it. That's what makes this rivalry so special. But while Ben's side tries to cling to nostalgia, Eubank Jr. is the one carrying the present. He's not riding on family name or old memories. He's standing on his own victories. For kids in the gym, for fans at home, it's Eubank who represents the fighter who carved his path, who earned his stripes. Mackenzie is right about the excitement, but excitement alone doesn't win fights. When the bell rings, it won't be about 3 generations. It'll be about one truth. Chris Eubank Jr. is still levels above Conor Benn.
That right. However, the intrigue that surrounds this fight, I've got young kids in my gym that are going to be tuning into this.
3 generations are going to watch it, aren't they? That's what's great.
I mean, they're so excited about it.
Adam, the rehydration clause, one of the things that I failed to ask Eggy Hearn on Thursday at the press conference was...
Barry Jones hits the nail on the head here. This fight can only take more out of Conor Benn. The first clash was already a punishing battle, and the rematch is destined to be another grueling night. Barry makes it clear, unless something freakish happens, like an early shock punch landing, Eubank Jr. remains the favorite, and that's the truth boxing fans already recognize. Eubank isn't just stronger physically, he's sharper mentally, and he's got the edge in experience. Hard nights against fighters like him don't just test your conditioning, they break your spirit. Ben may talk tough, but surviving one war doesn't guarantee you'll win another. Barry is right to highlight that reality, because when a fighter like Eubank already has the blueprint, repeating the victory becomes even easier. Ben's camp can hype it all they want, but in the cold light of day, Eubank is still the man to beat, and Barry knows it.
So this fight can only harm him, because that was a hard fight, the first one. This one will be another hard fight, whoever wins, unless there's a real freak occurrence, not a freak occurrence, unless someone gets caught with the shot really early, then it's going to be a hard night. Which you still have to make Eubank the favourite again, like I did the first time. I mean, so
Jack Catterall gives Ben credit here, even tipping him for the win. But let's break that down. Saying Ben is definitely capable of stopping Eubank Jr. sounds flattering, yet it doesn't hold up against reality. Capability doesn't equal execution. In the first fight, Ben had his moments but never truly looked like ending Eubank. It was Eubank who dictated the pace, absorbed the pressure, and walked out with the victory. Catterall calling it unbelievable is fair. It was a thrilling fight, but the difference between a great fight and a great fighter is composure, and that's where Ben falls short. Eubank's chin, his conditioning, and his tactical awareness are all proven. Ben, on the other hand, is still untested at that top tier. Fans might love the idea of Ben pulling off the upset, but when the punches start flying, ideas don't win fights. Resilience and ringcraft do. That's why Catterall's pick feels more like hype than logic.
You know what, it was an unbelievable fight. I remember watching it, one of the best fights I've seen. I wasn't there live. I'd like to get to this next one, but I think it's not going to be another great fight, and I'm going for Conor Benn for the win.
Do you believe he stopped Eubank this time?
Definitely capable of it.
Tony Bellew captures the raw side of this rivalry, the pain, the drama, and the authenticity of what fans are witnessing. He admits it's brutal, one of the worst pains fighters endure, but he also points out the truth. It's part and parcel of a rivalry this deep. Everyone's invested, everyone's tuned in, because it's not just a sporting contest. It's personal, it's generational. But here's the kicker: when pain and drama are involved, only one man thrives under that pressure, and that's Chris Eubank Jr. Ben can talk about intensity, and fans can hype up his fire, but when the pain gets real, when the fight turns ugly, who's the one still standing tall? History already gave us that answer. Eubank Jr. has proven his durability and composure, while Ben has shown cracks when tested. Bellew calls it real, and he's right, but reality favors Eubank every single time. That's why this drama will always tilt his way.
Not nice, it's one of the worst pains you'll ever have. But listen, it's been done. Some find it funny, some don't. It's all part and parcel. When you get involved in these kind of things, you have to just accept it. And everyone's bought into the fight. We all know the drama, the rivalry's real. My greatest worry is these two boys don't bump into each other when no one's around.
Yeah,
because if they do, it's happening. 100%. It's worse than that, mate. It's happening on.
So here we are. Everything boils down to this rematch. For Conor Benn, it's desperation, a chance to rewrite history and finally prove he belongs on this stage. But for Chris Eubank Jr., it's legacy. Win again, and he doesn't just silence the Ben camp, he buries the rivalry once and for all. Fans know Ben will bring fire, but fire burns out when met with composure. and that's what separates the two. Eubank's icy mindset against Benn's reckless emotion. If Ben somehow pulls off the upset, it shakes the division and rewrites the narrative. But if Eubank wins, it's confirmation that levels exist and Ben simply can't touch him. The question is, who truly wants it more when the lights hit? Are you backing Chris Eubank Jr. to cement his dominance? Or do you believe Conor Benn can shock the boxing world? Drop your thoughts below.